Hello, my friendly friends. Welcome to the Bold and Determined podcast with your man, Victor Pride. And now, FYI, the Bold and Determined podcast is going to be released every Thursday from now on. That is correct. There's going to be one Bold and Determined podcast every week released on Thursday. You can find it at boldanddetermined.com. You can find it on SoundCloud, and you can find it on iTunes. Now, to find it on iTunes, just go to your podcast app and type in these words, Bold and Determined, and you will find it. Now, on last week's episode, we had a question from Sebastian who wanted to know about the Illuminati. He asked, do you believe the Illuminati is real? Well, there's a lot to say about this, Sebastian, so let's jump right in. Is the Illuminati real? And if so, what do they want, and what does it mean for you? Well, you might be surprised to learn that my answer is, in fact, yes, the Illuminati is real, and, more airplanes flying over. We're just going to have to deal with that sound in the background, folks. Is the Illuminati real? Well, here's what I want you to do. Let's say you are in the United States. I want you to take out a dollar bill, a United States dollar bill. Now, I know most of you probably don't use dollars anymore. You use your debit card or you use your credit card, but see if you can find yourself a dollar bill and flip over the dollar bill and look directly on the back of the dollar bill. See that pyramid with the all-seeing eye on the top of the pyramid? Now at the bottom of this pyramid, it says Novus Ordo Seclorum. That means New World Order. So folks, this New World Order, the Illuminati, there is no conspiracy because it's right on your money. What is the one thing you have to have in this world to live in this world? Money. So if they control the money and they're putting their slogans on the money, how can you contest it if they are real or if they are fake? It is clear that they are real. So I'd like to explain to you how they operate and what they want and what you can do to live your life effectively. Now, again, look at that dollar bill. You see that pyramid with the all-seeing eye? That's how they operate. They want themselves at the top of the pyramid of power, and they want everybody else below. They operate in the same manner as a cult. And what they want is for them to be at the top of the cult, and they want to rule all over the world. They want to rule everybody as a dictator. They want to have one dictator. They want to have a few players of power at the top, and then everybody else at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, they see themselves as the all-seeing eye at the top of this pyramid. Now, if you look closely at this eye, if you get yourself a magnifying glass and look at the eye on the top of the pyramid on your dollar bill, it's the eye of a sociopath or a psychopath. And what I mean by that is you can see three whites of the eye. Now, for a normal person who is not a psychopath or a sociopath, you're going to see the whites of the eye on the left and the right side, but you should not see the whites of the eye upper or below. On the dollar bill, you can see the whites of the eye on the left, right, and below the iris. That means it is the eye of a sociopath. And that is exactly what the people at the top of the pyramid of power, the Illuminati, the Cabal, the Council, whatever you want to call them, that is exactly what they are. What that means for you is that they are simply emotionless. They don't feel emotions the same way you and I feel them. They don't care about you as people. You are simply cattle to them. And they want your energy. They want your resources. They want you to bow down to them. And they have designed our world so that is exactly what they get. Our school system is designed to not make us intelligent, to not make us smart, but to make us simply follow orders and never question anything, and not have the proper education to actually think for ourselves. If you go to public school in the United States, you get an inferior education from the private school system. Don't be fooled. There are, in fact, two school systems operating in the U.S., one for the elite and one for everybody else. The school system for everybody else is an inferior education, and it's if you pay attention to that school system, if you believe in that school system, you are going to end up as nothing but cattle, as nothing but a slave. If you do what they say, you go to school and get good grades, you go to college and get good grades, you go get a job and you work until you're 65. What happens? You work your entire life away for nothing. And if you work your entire life away, if you work a job if you follow the orders that they have given you, what happens? You never keep the product of your own labor. When you work a job, the product of your labor goes to somebody else. You are not in control of your labor. 100 years ago, if you worked on a farm, you kept all of the product of your own labor. Today, you keep none of it. You go work all of your life away. You go work all of your time, 40 hours a week or more. You work for somebody else and you give them the product of your labor, and they give you these pieces of paper, which you then turn around and spend on your mortgage, your car payment, your credit card payment, all of the debt that the system encourages you to go into. You go into it, and then you turn around and you give away the product of all of your time and give the money right back to them. Now, if you follow this system, you get nothing in return for your labor. It is the slave system. All right? They operate in the same manner that a cult operates. In a cult, you have one person of absolute power. You have a few people underneath that person, and you have everybody else who works for that person. Everybody in the cult gives away their money. They give away their time. They work for this cult leader. The cult leader, in turn, makes all of their decisions for them. It says what you will do, what you will not do, what you are allowed to do, what you are not allowed to do. They limit the flow of information to you. And this is the same thing that happens to us today. Our information is limited from our news sources, right? They operate the news sources and they give you the information that they want you to know. They don't give you the real information. They give you the information that you want. They want you to know. Essentially what they are aiming for, this new world order, is a one world dictatorship with them in charge and you with nothing. They want all of your energy, all of your resources. They want to concentrate it at the top. Again, they are psychopaths and sociopaths, and they want complete control and submission over you. But just because they want it doesn't mean they'll get it. In the way that you protect yourself, in the way that you fight back, the way that you don't allow the demolition of your morals and your freedom and your knowledge, is you stop giving away control of your entire life. You understand? You stop giving away control. You stop listening when they say, you must go to school. You must go to university. You must get a job. You must work 40 hours a week and be so busy that you never stop to think, why am I doing this? They want to keep you so busy that you never look around and think, wait a second. I'm working my entire life away. I'm keeping none of the product of my own labor. And I'm only working to pay these bills, these debts that I have, because I listened to what they said and I went into debt. They keep you so busy that you never stop to think why. They have told you what to do and you follow it. And this is the reason that they are winning. And you look around and you see most people do not have control of their life. Most people have given up control of their entire life and they do what they are told. They are cattle. The solution, you have to start running your own life. You understand? You have to start running your own life. You have to take control of your life. You must stop listening to authority and orders, and you must determine for yourself what is the best course of action. This is a big reason why I will only be an entrepreneur. I will never get a job. I will never watch the news. I will never listen to authority. You must be in control of your life. You must keep the product of your labor. If you do not keep the product of your own labor, what you are is a slave. If you keep the product of your own labor, what you are is a master. You understand that? So the way that you become illuminated yourself is to become the master. And again, these people do not have emotions the same way that you and I have emotions. They don't care about your feelings. They manipulate your feelings through things like social justice, inequality. These are all traps that get us to give away our freedoms little by little. Little by little, we give everything away. When we ask for equality, what we're asking is to be lowered to the lowest common denominator. In the world of equality, not everybody has risen to the highest levels. Everybody is lowered to the lowest common denominator. Everybody becomes the same, a piece of shit, a nothing, a nobody, a cattle, a slave. So it's by these seemingly innocent things like asking for equality, asking for equal rights. These are the ways they get you to give away all of your rights. And you can look around and see this everywhere you go. It's very popular. They have many, many people bamboozled with this. You have to stay steadfast and simply not listen to what's going on around you. You know everything inside of your heart, inside of your mind. You know what is right and you know what is wrong. You know that if you go to school, go to college, go to university, get a job, you know you're a slave to the system. Everybody knows it. They're afraid to say it, but everybody knows it deep down. And if they would take 1 hour to think about what they're doing, to honestly think about it, because most people will not think. Now, if you read the writings of the Cabal, the Illuminati, their writings such as Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, such as the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, they say exactly this. They say, man is not a thinking animal. And this is how they take control. And again, if you read those documents, you see that they are free from emotion. The problem with conspiracy theorists and people who are making all the noise about the Illuminati is that they're overly emotional, like children. And this is exactly what the writings of the so-called Illuminati illustrate. Those writings are free from emotion. They don't have emotion about it. It's just it's a business. It's science. It's down to a science to them. There's no emotion involved. But these conspiracy theorists, if you get involved with them, you're going to become overly emotional, like a child. And this is going to serve only to demoralize you and to push you down further. You've never met a conspiracy theorist who was doing super well in life and had everything going. Because once you get into conspiracy theory, it demoralizes you. It is important to know what's happening, but it is also important to take control of your own life. When you get involved in conspiracy, you give away control of your life to this boogeyman of the Illuminati, when all that is necessary for you to do to rise above is to take control of your life. Take control. Stop giving your control away. Take control of your own life. Take responsibility for your own life. Be responsible for you and yours. Stop giving them your responsibility. And these problems you have will go away. You will get your freedom. You will get your security. You'll get this and you'll get that. You'll get everything you want if you simply take control of your life and stop giving control of your life away. If you want to give control away, they're happy to take it because that's what they want. But if you're not a slave, if you are a man, if you have a soul, if you have will, don't give control away. Start running your own life. It's that simple. Now, Sebastian had another couple of questions. He asked, will there be a New World Ronin meetup in Europe? That's a great question, Sebastian. I am thinking very seriously about heading over to Europe within the next couple of months. We will see how it goes. But again, I'm excited to hopefully get out to Europe one of these days. And if I do, I will set something up for you. He also asked, what are your thoughts on chemtrails, flat earth, and veganism being pushed by the government? Well, in regards to chemtrails, all you have to do is look up in the sky and you can see them. Chemtrails are different than contrails. A contrail is a condensation trail from an airplane when the cold air meets the warm air and you see a condensation trail. But the condensation trail, aka the contrail, evaporates very quickly. The chemtrail stays in the sky for a long time, and when I go back to the United States, I see these chemtrails in the sky. So I don't have any thoughts on them other than I can see them in the sky and I don't know what they are. And most of us don't. Flat Earth. Listen, there's a debate whether or not the Earth is flat or round. This is a debate for idiots. This is a debate for stupid people to have with each other and ignore the real issues in this world. Is the Earth flat or round? We have already learned this, folks. We already know what it is. And having this debate on either side, if you're saying the earth is flat or the earth is round, if you're still having this debate, you're an idiot, okay? Plain and simple. Next is veganism being pushed by the government. We are going to see veganism is going to explode. We see it pushed everywhere. I've been watching these documentaries about prehistoric peoples who still live in the forest and still hunt their food and grow their own food. And what you never see on this programming is them hunting. That's not because they don't hunt. It's because it is not shown on television. So there is a very big push for veganism, and that's for a good reason. It's hard to make a profit on beef, on pork, on chicken. It's very difficult to make a profit on this. But on soybean and corn and wheat, the profit margin is huge, gigantic. So this is one reason why you see on the food pyramid all the carbohydrates at the bottom of the pyramid. Listen, what's at the top of the pyramid? Meat. Remember the pyramid on your dollar bill? Who's at the top? The Illuminati, the illuminated ones, the elite, the ones who eat the meat. At the bottom are the idiots who eat the wheat and the corn and the soy, the cattle. That's cattle food. And you can look at the food pyramid to show that to you. Now, of course, they want you to eat cattle food. They make a lot more money, and you are kept sick and weak and stupid when you eat these foods. Only meat is the real food for humans. We are carnivores. We are not vegans. It's absurd to think that we are naturally vegans. We're not. And these foods don't exist in nature. Corn, wheat, soy, the foods we eat today do not exist in nature. In nature, you have animals that you must hunt and eat. And that's what we are. That's how we thrive. And that's how we get rid of sickness and illness, is by eating the food we're meant to eat, which is meat. But if they can convince you to give all your money away for these fake foods that keep you sick, they can get all your money by keeping you sick and taking money from your doctor's visits and your prescription medicines, and you're overpaying for these foods that are not even foods. So we are going to see veganism being pushed more and more by the government. Don't listen, eat your meat. Alex asked me a question last week about, I'll just read it for you. He says, what countries in the world would you recommend to find a traditional girl? Already tried a few, and the rot is everywhere. Now, I wanted to cover this last week and say that the only country in the world where you will find a traditional girl is the country in which you are from. There is no country in the world where a traditional girl will marry a foreigner. The only country in the world you can find a traditional girl is your own country where your people come from. If you go to Thailand, every traditional Thai girl is going to marry a Thai man. If you go to Russia, every traditional Russian girl is going to marry a Russian man. If you go to Ukraine, every traditional Ukrainian girl is going to marry a Ukrainian man. That's just the way it is. What I think you probably mean is feminine girl. Where can you find a feminine girl? Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, South America. And that's basically it. Don't think you're getting a traditional girl, because you're not. You're getting a non-traditional girl because no traditional girl would have anything to do with a foreigner. But where can you find a feminine lady, a feminine girl? Southeast Asia, East Asia, Eastern Europe, South America. Sebastian asks, do you have any good book recommendations? And will New World Ronin be purchasable on paperback anytime soon? No, New World Ronin is not going to be available soon. And regarding book recommendations, I am continually disappointed by the books that I read. Just continually. I try to read a lot of books, but they're just very disappointing. Most books are nothing but filler. That's what they are. Now, I do have a book by Kelly Starrett called Becoming a Supple Leopard. I have not read a single word of it because it's a gigantic book, but it supposedly teaches you how to move your body and work your body so that you become free of all pain and become supple like a leopard. I've heard great things about the book. It has 5-star reviews on Amazon. I ordered the book, it came to me, and it's a gigantic textbook, and I've not even opened it yet, so I can't say about that. I am going to reread the book Shogun by James Clavell. Shogun is my favorite novel by far. It's about 1,000 pages, but a really phenomenal novel. I recommend all listeners of the B&D podcast read the book Shogun by James Clavell. Great, great book. Octavio asks, have you considered translating Bold and Determined into multiple languages? No, I haven't, because I write them in English. They are written in English to be consumed in English. If you don't know English, learn it. It is the universal language. If you don't know English, what are you doing? And I don't see a point in translating my beautiful words into multiple languages when I'm not going to be able to make any money in French. I'm not going to be able to make any money in Russian, in Spanish, in this or in that. So what's the point? If you want to read it, learn the language it was written in. Max asks, how do you go about deciding who you're going to spend the rest of your life with? Do you ever feel like a girlfriend or wife should be smart? He goes on to say, mine cooks, cleans, has a tight body and a beautiful face. She's a good girl. I can trust her and she would be a good mom, but I cannot talk to her about deeper topics or ask her for advice because it's like talking to a wall. She just isn't capable of understanding a lot of things. A good best friend who you can talk to is a part solution to this problem, but still, if you ask me, would I spend the rest of my life with this almost dream woman, I am not thrilled. All right, Max, what you are looking for is what we call a unicorn. A unicorn is something that looks really great on paper, really, really beautiful, but in reality, you cannot find one. So what you're looking for is a unicorn, a smart, genius girl you can talk about deeper topics with, but also cooks, cleans, has a tight body, beautiful face, and will make a good mom. What you're looking for is a unicorn, Max. Be happy with what you have, because what you have is the best that is available. You will not find all of these good qualities in a wife material and some deeper topic genius, because they don't exist. If you want to have deep topic conversations, have those conversations with men. Now, if you want someone who cooks, cleans, has a tight body and a beautiful face, why would you want to give that away? So you can have deeper topic conversations. Silly, right? What you're looking for is a unicorn. Stop looking for a unicorn and be very happy with what you have, Max. Stan asks, what is the best way to maximize your health, mental clarity, and maintain high energy and motivation? Max, the best way to do that is by diet and exercise. Specifically, eat the natural diet for humans, which is meat. Eat your steak and eggs. Don't eat your toast. Eat your lamb chops. Don't eat oatmeal. It's very, very simple. The meat, the food that we were designed to eat, fills us with clarity and health and energy. And eating food we are not designed to eat robs us of health and clarity and energy. Now, you also must throw exercise into the mix. Exercise is the only thing that will keep your head clear. If you don't exercise, you will get that foggy head, that brain fog, that fatigue. You must exercise. The human body is meant for a lot of exercise. And if you don't exercise and eat the right diet, you will never be at your peak. You'll never be at your best. You'll always be foggy-headed and lacking mental clarity, lacking the high energy that you need, lacking health. So the way to maximize your health, mental clarity, high energy, exercise, and eat the steak and eggs diet, the all-meat diet, the carnivore diet, the barbarian diet. Leave the carbohydrates alone. Joseph asks, do you believe a young man should commit to never ejaculating again, even through sex? And also, do you recommend any other methods to transmutate sexual energy? No, Joseph, I do not recommend that you commit to never ejaculating again. What he's talking about is a tantric principle that if you never ejaculate, you will open your kundalini energy and it's a bunch of bullshit, really. If we want to get right down to it, it's a bunch of bullshit. If you want to live a natural life, you follow through with the sex act in a natural manner from start to finish. Now, this never ejaculating stuff, again, this is Taoist, tantric. I don't recommend it. Let me just say that. If you want to look into it, go ahead and look into it. But I don't recommend it. And I did publish an article about this, but I went ahead and I removed the article because a lot of people this subject confuses a lot of people. He asked about transmutating sexual energy. Well, you have to have a lot of sexual energy in the first place, and you have to use that energy. All high-powered politicians in this world know that having a lot of sex equals power. You gain power from the sex act. You do. That's just a fact. And you see all sex-crazed politicians, they know this. They know this. This is kept secret from us, but they know this. So the real way to transmutate your sexual energy is that it's endless. There are many different ways. You can commit to never ejaculating. You can ejaculate. You can do this. You can do that. It's really just having a lot of that energy and using it. So it might sound complicated, but it isn't. It's a matter of having high testosterone, really. With a high testosterone, you have a high sex drive. And when you exercise your sex drive, it builds and builds and builds and builds. And when you don't exercise your sex drive, it decreases and decreases and decreases. That's why all these guys who are what you call involuntarily celibate end up shooting up the school or killing themselves or jumping off a bridge, because it makes you very miserable to not have sex. And having sex makes you very happy and makes you want to accomplish more in this world. So that's that. Kyle asks, I'm curious as to your current thoughts on building smaller niche sites in 2018. I know you've said before to just focus on building an authority blog, but what about building a handful of niche sites at the same time while waiting for your main blog to gain traction? Could be online income coming in faster for some. Well, it sounds good in theory, but it doesn't work in reality. You're talking about building 6 sites at the same time? Get real. You can build one at the same time. You can put your energy in one and have a very high chance that that will succeed. If you put your energy in 6 sites, none of them are going to work. That's just the way it is. What you put your energy into is what you get energy out of. What you put your energy into, you get money out of. If you're fooling around with these niche sites, bullshitting around with this one, bullshitting around with that one, you're not going to make anything. It's going to be like walking into a dirty kitchen. You're going to see the plates here, they need to be clean. The dishes here, the dirty table, and you're just going to walk right out. You're going to end up doing nothing. So focus on one thing. Now this BS about niche or authority, these are meaningless words. Every site you build, you should be the authority on, whether it's about a small topic or a big topic. Always be the authority. Always have the final say. That's it. Orestes asks, what do you think of starvation diet? You recommend raw food, but have you been on starvation? Can it help regenerate your body, get rid of toxins and some sickness? Well, starvation is not eating. So what I think you mean is fasting. Fasting is a bunch of bullshit. Unless you are obese, fasting is not what you want to do. Now, if you're an obese person, fasting is okay because when you fast, your body eats your body fat. So when you fast, your body actually eats meat, your own meat, your body meat. And this can help you lose weight and help you feel a lot better. And if you're fasting, then you wouldn't be eating the Twinkies and the Ding Dongs and all the other BS that obese people eat. Now, for people who are not obese, you should not fast. You should not. There's no reason to fast. And in fact, when you do fast, you feel miserable. You don't feel better. It doesn't get rid of toxins. You feel like you're dying when you fast. When you stop eating, what you call a starvation diet feels like you're dying. No, you should not fast. What you should do is cut out the carbohydrates in your diet and simply eat the meat. The meat will give you everything that the fasting promises but doesn't deliver. Eating just meat does deliver. Eating meat and not eating these carbohydrates, not eating these grains, is what gives you is what releases toxins and sickness and regenerates your body. That's it. He also asked, do you generally like people? Well, do I generally like people? No, not generally. I do not like people, but I do like persons. Groups of people, I don't like at all. I don't like being around groups of people. No. Persons, though, you can find persons that you like. Now, I like all people who are nice, who don't have some hidden agenda, or not trying to rob you, scam you, get your money. So all people who are nice and not terribly stupid, yeah, I don't have any problem with those people. I'm very happy to have a short conversation with all nice people in the world. I don't like... Now, I lived in Thailand for a long time, and in Thailand, everybody who talks to you on the street is trying to get your money or rob you or scam you in some way or another. In the United States, this is way different. Everybody that talks to you is just saying hi, just saying hello. So unless you've traveled abroad, unless you have been in situations where people are trying to scam you, it probably doesn't make sense to you to hear that, well, why would people talk to you to try to scam you? Well, when you go to a third world country, that's what happens. And if you spend 6 or 7 years in a third world country, you become a little bit jaded to people. But when I'm in the States, I am always surprised at how remarkably nice the people are. So that's that. I don't like people, but I do like persons. Sasha asks, Victor, do you have to control your milk intake to avoid gaining body fat? Yeah, you do. But let me make it perfectly clear. I don't drink pasteurized milk that you get at the store. I drink raw goat's milk that I buy directly from a farm. I don't drink raw cow's milk because it tastes worse than goat's milk, and it's much, much harder to digest. Goat's milk is really tremendous. It tastes really good and creamy, and it's really, really delicious. I love it a lot. But if you are worried about body fat, you should not be drinking any milk whatsoever. I'm not worried about body fat. I'm worried about more energy and health and eating good, clean, raw, natural foods in their natural state. But if you are trying to control body fat, don't drink any milk. Just eat meat. Follow the steak and eggs diet. Follow the carnivore diet. Cut out the carbohydrates. And you will have good, clean energy all the time. You won't feel hungry ever. And you will not gain body fat, but you will, in fact, lose body fat. Next question, Shane asks, what are your thoughts on the ketogenic diet? The ketogenic diet is exactly what I've been talking about. It's the diet of only meat and no vegetables, no fruits, no grains. It's just meat only, protein and fat only, and no carbs. It is the only diet fit for humans. It's the only diet where you feel truly energetic and happy and fulfilled with your food. You never have food cravings. Your blood sugar never goes up and down. You're always steady, always stable. And it's the only diet that is worth even talking about. You can call it many names. You can call it the ketogenic diet, the keto diet, the carnivore diet, barbarian diet, the steak and eggs diet. I just call it the natural diet for people. We live on animal foods. We don't live on plant foods. And that's that. Now, there's a book called The Fat of the Land, written in the early 1920s or late 1800s about this man who went out and lived with the Inuit in Alaska. And when he would go out and live with these people, they would eat nothing but meat and fish. They would never have any plant food whatsoever. They would usually eat fish. They would have 3 meals a day. Their first 2 meals of the day, they would eat raw fish. And at night, they would have boiled fish, and they would drink a lot of ice cold water. And this is all that they lived on, just for their entire lives. This is what they had ate. And they never had dental problems. They never had health problems. They usually died from accidents, hunting accidents, fishing accidents, but they were remarkably healthy. And when this man came back to the United States, he told people about this, and they didn't believe that you could just live on meat with no vegetable matter whatsoever. So they did a university-approved test on this man and another man where for an entire year, they ate nothing but meat. They had no carbohydrates, no vegetables, no grains, no fruits, nothing whatsoever but meat for an entire year. And they would test their blood levels, their this, their that. And at the end of this year, they were perfectly healthy. There were no deficiencies in the diet whatsoever. So we have known that this diet is appropriate for humans for a long time, but the the powers that be have a lot of interest in selling you grain because it's cheap to produce and yields a very good profit. So that's what it's about. It's about profit. It's not about your health. It's about profit. The all meat diet. You can read The Fat of the Land. You can find that book online for free. Just Google The Fat of the Land PDF. You'll find it. And you can see that this is what our ancestors ate. This is what people who still live a natural lifestyle eat. And it is what you can eat and be healthy. Now, the agricultural revolution, this is what killed our health. We've only been eating vegetable foods for about 12,000 years, and we have not adapted to them in any way. Carbohydrates are killing our health. And again, they were only introduced to us in the agricultural revolution 12,000 years ago. For the hundreds of thousands of years before that, we were hunters, and we might gather some berries, we might gather some leaves, but there was no substantial carbohydrate intake in our diet. We are a hunting people, and we thrive on meat, and that is as simple as that. Wolf asks, why should men support Amazon by buying things from it? The CEO supports gay rights, and this is one of the main reasons why so many men are like little girls. Okay. Now, when you talk about gay rights and opposing it, it's not because you hate gay people and you don't want them to have any rights. The gay rights thing is a MacGuffin. It's not the real issue. When you protest for gay rights, what you're actually doing is removing rights from all of the other people. You're pushing up the lowest common denominator and pushing down the rest of the people. Now, you hear about the importance of gay marriage, but you never hear about the importance of heterosexual marriage in this country. You never hear about it. Why is that? Why you never hear about the importance of family? You never hear about the importance of families staying together, but you hear about the importance of gays marrying. Listen, gays can't have families. You understand that? Gays can't have families. And this is part of population control. They want to control the population because to rule over everybody, there are too many people in the world. They can't do it right now. We were talking about the Illuminati at the beginning of this podcast. They want control over all people, but they can't have it because there are simply too many people in the world. They are not winning. They are hundreds of years away from getting what they want, at the least. Probably they will never get it. They will never win. But it's things like protesting for gay rights and equal rights. These things make it possible for them to control you even more. You give away your control by saying, yeah, gay rights, no rights for straight people, no rights for families, but rights for gay people. So you bring everybody down with this thing. So why should you support Amazon? I don't give a damn if you support Amazon. That's as simple as that. I do buy things from Amazon when I'm in the States because it's so convenient. On a Saturday evening, I wanted to buy a neck harness to use at the gym to train my neck. I bought this thing on a Saturday evening, and on Sunday morning, it arrived at my house. I was able to train that Sunday from what I bought on Amazon Saturday night. Now, I can understand not wanting to promote companies that promote the depopulation and demotivation of your people. But the people have already spoken. People love Amazon. It's the #1 website in the world for buying things. So whether a few people support it or don't support it does not reverse the trend that it is the most popular website in the world for buying things. Now, like I told you last week, we are releasing a supplement line on Amazon, specifically because so many people buy on Amazon. And when you buy on Amazon, you can get it the next day. So you'll be able to buy our supplements on a Friday and get it on a Saturday, and buy it on a Monday and get it on a Tuesday. And this also, as a businessman, you have to be unemotional about these things and just look at where the business is at, where the customers are at. They want their stuff right away. And that's as simple as that. So they want it right away. We're going to give it to them right away. George asks, the vast majority of the red pill / manosphere information out there targets mainly people in their 20s. All of you embraced your masculinity and started putting your life in order during your late 20s. What are the three absolute most important in priority tips you could give to a late 30s guy who seeks to escape from the world of mediocrity and start his own journey to becoming a man of honor. Well, number one, this whole red pill manosphere thing is not something that Bold and Determined has ever been a part of. You can look at the entire archives of B&D and you will never see the words red pill or manosphere. This is a lower thing, and B&D has always been above it. B&D has never been a part of any group and never will be. So that's your first tip, is to stop claiming membership in these different groups and be above it all. You must be above it all. Your second is to make the choice to stop giving away control of your life and start running your own life. So you don't need 3 tips, you just need 2. Be above it all. Be better than it all. And start running your own life. It's as simple as that. His second question is, how do you deal with average people in general, with normies? He goes on to say, I don't know if it's only me, but I can't stand being in the room with them beyond 5 minutes, and I'm generous about that. The only thing they occupy their time is ranting about things they can't control, politics, gossip, sharing iPhone photos, worshiping sports players, etc. They drain my energy massively. How do you deal with these guys? Well, it is difficult dealing with people like this in long spurts. I don't want to be around them for too long. This is the main reason why I became an entrepreneur. I could not stand working with these people. And I had to get away from them. This is why I became an entrepreneur. I could not stand being around normal people. I can take 5 minutes here, an hour there, but I can't be around them because they drain my energy and they drain my energy. So I just simply don't be around them for too long. Now, in this game, it can be very difficult to find people who have the same mindset as you. It can be very, very difficult because usually people with the same mindset don't like each other. People who are leaders instead of followers tend to not like each other. Now, if you know anything about magnets, you know that the positive attracts the negative, but the positive and the positive repel each other. And that is often the case when you find other leaders. You tend to clash heads and you repel each other because there can only be one leader. There can never be 2 leaders. So it can be difficult finding people to connect with, but that's really irrelevant. I try and stick with people who are above normal but below leader. I find that spending time, they get good work done and there's no clash of heads. So that's who I tend to spend my time with. People who aspire to be more but who have not made the decision to be more fully yet. Thomas asks, we're due for another economic collapse and recession, and it's estimated to be within the next 2 years. If and when it happens, how do you think it will affect an already successful blog artist like yourself? More importantly to your readers, it will likely make starting a new business, monetized blog, a near impossibility for a few years. Curious about what your plan of action you might recommend. Keeping in mind, there may not be ample time to set up a self-sustaining internet income before it strikes. Well, Thomas, give me a break with that baloney. Give me a break with that. These economic collapses, first of all, if you knew when they were going to happen, you'd be rich because you'd be able to time your investments in such a way that you became massively wealthy. So you don't know that they're going to happen in 2 years. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a scare tactic to make you not do anything. It's a scare tactic you use on yourself to not do anything. Now, say the economy does collapse. Who's going to be hurt? People with regular jobs. That's who. How is a person with an irregular job who doesn't depend on being paid from anybody else, how are they possibly going to be hurt? You never see entertainers hurt in times of economic collapse, do you? You never see book writers hurt in times of economic collapse. You see average Joe working down at the docks gets hurt. Johnny working in the offshore oil industry. You see Mary Jane working down at the factory. These are the people that get hurt, not the people who have taken control of their own destiny. You can only be hurt if you have not taken control of your own destiny. It's as simple as that. So this baloney about, it's going to be hard to start a business. It's not going to be hard. It's always easy to start a business. In fact, it's easier to start a business like this in times of economic downturns, because people are looking for a solution more than they are in the good times. In the bad times, people want a solution and they're willing to part with their hard-earned money to get it. In good times, you can do good. In bad times, you can do better. Hazy asks, how did you get over your fear of travel? What were you afraid of and why? I'm asking because I have a desire to travel as well as the means to do it. However, I think there is some fear holding me back. Well, Hazy, I've never had a fear of travel. I was never afraid of anything. What I had was an ignorance about travel. I simply did not know the world of travel. I didn't know what you could or couldn't do. I had no idea. I'd never traveled before. I just didn't know. It's not a fear. It's a lack of education. When I learned that you could go to China and they'll give you a visa if you teach English for 2 days a week, within 30 days of learning that fact that blew my mind, I was on a plane to China. So when I learned what you could do, how you could get a visa, how you could stay somewhere, I was there within 30 days. So I don't have a fear of travel. What people have is a lack of education about travel. So that's what it is. You are unaware of what you can and cannot do. Because with travel, there's nothing to be afraid of. You just go from here to there. Once you do it, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's all there is to it. You just go from here to there. And when I tell people I'm going to buy a ticket and go here or go there, they go, oh, you're just going to buy a ticket and go. And I say, yeah, I'm just going to buy a ticket and go. That's all there is to it. Buy a ticket and go. If you have to get a visa, apply for the visa, buy a ticket and go. So there's nothing to be afraid of. What you might be afraid of is leaving your comfort zone. Leaving your comfort zone. But that's exactly why I travel, to get out of my comfort zone and to experience new things. Stan asks, hi Vic, I am 19 years old, 5'8", 170 pounds. I began lifting 3 years ago at 110 pounds. So you've gained 60 pounds in 3 years. He goes on to say, however, I have been stuck at this size for almost a year. What should I do to get to 180 to 190 pounds and still be lean? Is this possible naturally, and would arimistane be worth it or safe for my age? No, arimistane is red PCT, and that has been discontinued. If you want to get from 170 to 180 and 190 and still be lean, you have to take something extra. It's never going to happen for you naturally. Now, when you start lifting and start eating, you're going to get to a certain weight and you're going to stay there. And that's going to be your natural weight. You're never going to be above your natural weight unless you put on fat. To stay lean, I would recommend you take Red Growth from redsupplements.com. Red Growth will help you put on that 10 to 20 extra lean pounds. Lean is the key, because anybody can put on 20 fat pounds. Putting on lean pounds is the key. Can you do it naturally after 3 years? No, you can't. You've put on all your natural weight. That's just the way it is. I'd recommend getting Red Growth. Luke asks, can you give us a layout of your current training and diet routine? Yeah, my training and diet routine has varied over the past year and a half. I've done as little as working out once or twice a week to as much as working out 6 or 7 days a week. And a lot of the listeners of the Bold and Determined program might be shocked to know that I had really good results from working out once or twice a week and resting for the other 5 or 6 days a week. Now, I lost pretty good amount of size doing this, but my body felt good. My body felt limber and loose, and I could move better. And I noticed that when I started getting up to 5 and 6 days a week, my body became more stiff, and waking up was harder, and my body was just harder to move, and I was less limber and less stiff. So I change my routine all the time. Sometimes for a month I'll do every day, or 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and then for the next month I'll do 1 or 2 days a week. Now, when I wait about 7 or 8 days and then I hit the gym, when I leave the gym, I feel so incredibly calm and tranquil and peaceful. I get the exact same effect from not working out for a week and then working out hard one day that people claim to get from meditating. But I get it from moving my body and getting the blood moving and getting a pump on. That gives me just an unbelievable feeling of tranquility and calm and peace. I don't get the same feeling when I work out 5 or 6 days a week, but I keep more size on my body when I train more. But I would say I probably feel better when I work out once or twice a week. I do your basic stuff in the gym, your deadlifts, your bench press. I like to do a lot of work with bands. I like to do a lot of spinal work, try to make the spine strong. And that's really as simple as that. I follow the same stuff I've always followed. You can see the routine that I got the best, most muscle gains and fat loss out of was called Body of a Spartan. You can check that out. That's what I did in China for an entire year. And I left China with a six-pack, and I was stronger than ever. I was limber and loose still. So I'd recommend checking out Body of a Spartan. Hazy asks, how do you legally protect your business, brand, and products? Do you own any trademarks? Well, Hazy, if you start doing business under a brand name, you're going to pretty much be protected. It's not really that necessary to own a trademark unless you want to grow gigantic. It's not really necessary because you'll have proof that you've been doing business under that name. So if somebody comes in and tries to use that name, you can simply sue them and get them to stop using that name. Max asks, I just measured my total testosterone and the result is low according to Google. I'm 22 years old and the average testosterone is 600 to 700 ng per dl for my age. And he is at 460 and falls into the bottom 10%. He goes on to say, I lift weights, do high interval, intermittent training. I eat enough fats. I have enough vitamin D and magnesium. I eat pretty healthy and I'm not fat, just about 12 to 13% body fat. I'm not under that much stress. What do you think is the reason? What should I do? Well, Max, this world we live in is basically poisonous. The plastics that we eat in our food give us chemicals, estrogen without knowing it. The additives in our food that we eat without knowing it. The atmosphere, who knows what's being sprayed in the atmosphere? Our world is being poisoned. And this is the reason why so many men's testosterone levels are falling. It's nothing to do with you personally. It's simply happening without your consent. And there's not a lot you can do about it other than taking matters in your own hands and using things like testosterone or using things like a testosterone booster, aromatase inhibitor, these kind of things. We are about to release a new testosterone booster and an estrogen killer. This is going to be on the Amazon line. So I'll keep you posted about that. You can give that a try, and that should increase your testosterone levels. But other than that, I would recommend cutting the carbohydrates out of your diet, eating good, clean meat that you can hopefully find sourced from a farm or fish it yourself. And, that's really it. There's not a lot you can do because, well, this stuff is happening without our knowledge and consent. With all this, look around at the room that you're in right now. All this trash, all this plastic, all this stuff that you bought had to be created somehow. And there's byproducts of creating all this stuff that we buy. And those byproducts, those chemicals, those toxins in our water, in our air, in our food, this is what's causing our bodies to be low testosterone. Tyler asks, thank you for you and your blog. I'm quitting my factory job in October and I saved up money staying with my parents. Instead of going to school, what could I do with the $140,000 I have saved? Well, Tyler, there's not really too much you need to do with it. If you're a young man, you don't need to spend a whole lot of money on starting a business. It's always a pretty good idea to buy a piece of property and a house and some land. But in this world, in America, we don't actually own any land that we buy. We don't own any property that we buy. It can always be taken away. It is a good idea to own that, but it's not really a must because we can always rent or we can always find some cheaper ways to live. So what would you do with $140,000? I would probably start some sort of business with it. And I'd use the $140,000. I'd just take maybe 15 or 20 of that and put it into a business venture. And I'd try and live as cheaply as I could on the rest while the business takes off. When the business takes off, you can pay yourself back the 20 grand that you put into it. Then you can just live on the business. And if you keep listening to the B&D podcast, I'm sure you will get a great idea for a business. And that is the end of the Bold and Determined podcast for this week, my friends. Come back next Thursday, and I will talk to you some more. Until then, have a great day.